Victor has a mistress on the side. He keeps it well hidden. I don't even know what she looks like. Yet Victor has abandoned me for her more than once. When I was accompanying him to social events and being forced to drink against my will, he received a call from that girl and rushed off to meet her. I pleaded with him in a trembling voice, "Please take me home. I don't want to stay here." Those men's hands were wandering restlessly over my body. I forced myself not to react, instead looking at Victor with a pitiful, pleading expression. All it would take was one word from him, and I could leave. "Ellie, why are you being so unreasonable again?" He glanced at me dismissively, his tone cold. "It's just a few drinks with Mr. Wang. Nothing important." My pleas for help were ignored, and I was pushed onto the sofa by those men. Victor didn't look back at me. He stared at his phone, rushing out in a hurry. All because of that girl's words on the phone. "Quan Yi, I just watched a horror movie, and I'm so scared. Can you come and keep me company?" Victor's reaction was unprecedentedly tense. That was the first time I heard Lillian's voice. It was soft and delicate, with a hint of vulnerability. So Victor was doing all this for her. That's why he left me here like this. I suddenly laughed. I grabbed a wine bottle and smashed it on Wang's head. "You bitch, do you think you're better than me? Victor told you to serve me, and you dare to hit me?" He slapped me across the face. I froze in place. The stinging pain on my face couldn't overshadow the pain in my heart. All of this was Victor's doing. Over the years, I've endured countless such incidents. Even the most disgusting things didn't make me cry. But today, the bitter pain spread to my heart. That girl was like a thorn, causing a sharp pain to spread throughout my body. "What are you pretending to be, some chaste maiden?" Wang Zong clutched his bleeding head and glared at me with hatred. "You lot, come here and strip her." When the men pounced on me, I didn't even have time to cry. I pushed them away in terror and stumbled into the bathroom like a madwoman. It was the only safe place left. This gathering was organized by Mr. Wang. On his turf, no one would help me. Victor had brought me here specifically to network with him. He said it was just drinking, that this was the last time. I naively believed him, but reality shattered my illusions. The banging on the door grew louder. I hid helplessly in the bathroom, dialing Victor's number over and over again. Cold sweat soaked my back, and I could barely hold onto the phone. The chaos, the cruel laughter. It echoed endlessly in my ears. Just like that night 5 years ago, when Victor handed me over to those men to be toyed with. The same scene. My mind was on the verge of shattering and collapsing. The 10th call finally connected. Victor's impatient voice came through. "Didn't I tell you to entertain Mr. Wang properly? What are you causing trouble for now?" Memories of 5 years ago flooded my mind. That day, I had begged him the same way. "Quan Yi, I want to go home. Let me go home. Don't leave me here alone." I cried until I couldn't speak, my shoulders trembling. "I beg you, I can't take it anymore. They're torturing me. I'll die here." That day, Victor suppressed his emotions, his voice hoarse. "Ellie, this investment is very important to me. I don't want it to go to waste." Because of those words, I gave up all resistance. But at that very moment, when I reached out to him for help, the voice on the other end was that of the girl. "Quan Yi, will you teach me how to kiss?" I froze in place, my fingertips turning white from the pressure. In that moment, I seemed to forget all my fear and asked him calmly. "Victor, who is she?" "No one," he replied dismissively. "I have work to do." The call was abruptly hung up. I forced a bitter smile as tears streamed down my face. As the door was about to be broken down, I fixed my gaze on the windowsill. Jumping off the 3rd floor was my only hope. I closed my eyes and leaped out the window. Intense pain engulfed me. I lay on the ground, unable to move. Fortunately, I was still conscious, though I had broken my leg. Those people watched me from a distance, as if afraid to get involved. It was probably kind-hearted passers-by who took me to the hospital. After that, I fell into a coma. I had a long dream. In the dream, I relived the past. It was ordinary but beautiful. Victor was not meant to stay in the pond. Later, he came into contact with a career that could change his destiny. He began to climb upward, driven by his desires. At the pinnacle of power, he had everything he wanted. But when he finally reached that position, why were we growing further and further apart? Tears streamed silently down my face. In a daze, I seemed to see Victor again. He stood by my hospital bed, frowning at me, Nora. I slowly opened my eyes to make sure I wasn't mistaken. The face in my dream overlapped with reality. As long as I thought of him, he really appeared. Do you know what you did last night? His face darkened. Mr. Wang had his head smashed by you, and the project I was negotiating with him is completely ruined. Nora, do you want to see me fail? Do you want to see me fall from this position before you're satisfied? If it weren't for the lingering pain from the fall, I almost forgot the ordeal I went through last night. He never cared about my life or death. I stared at him silently. There were still faint kiss marks on Victor's neck. I could almost imagine everything that had happened between him and that girl yesterday. The hospital room was enveloped in a prolonged silence. I lifted my head and spoke softly. You've fallen for her, haven't you? Victor froze, a fleeting look of evasion flashing in his eyes. The next moment, his expression returned to normal. What are you talking about? The girl's name was Lillian, a new intern at his company. I knew little about her. But his eyes betrayed everything. She has a beautiful voice, and she seems young. When you answered the phone, your eyes were filled with tenderness, as if you wanted to rush over and hold her in your arms. That's why you left the dinner party in a hurry, just to make sure she wasn't scared by the horror movie, right? Victor took a deep breath, his expression complicated. He hadn't expected me to notice these things. Perhaps he had always believed. My feelings for him were too deep to harbor unfounded suspicions. So he hadn't been particularly careful when he answered the call. Ellie, it's not what you think. He began to explain, I did have work to do last night. The new intern messed up some contracts, and I had to handle it. She's just a young girl, and she was scared to tears. I couldn't leave her to deal with it alone. So you made me deal with those men? I looked at him bitterly. Ellie, you're good at this kind of thing. It was just a few drinks. Why did you make such a scene? Victor's tone softened. I saw you hurt yourself. I was worried. His eyes were filled with sincerity, as if there was nothing to criticize. Can you replace that intern? The words slipped out of my mouth. The recently eased tension was shattered in an instant. Victor frowned. Ellie, why are you picking on a young girl? And why are you defending her? Victor's expression grew serious, his tone highly displeased. I told you there was work last night. Why are you using that as an excuse to pick on an intern? He had never shown such dissatisfaction toward me before. It seemed like the prelude to an outburst. She had the nerve to act so intimate with a man who is already engaged. Isn't that reason enough to fire her? It's ironic, considering that Victor and I have been engaged for 5 years. But we haven't taken the step of getting married yet. And he's always out late at night, smelling of another woman's perfume. Or staying up all night chatting and calling that girl endlessly. I caught him once. He said Lillian was his soulmate, that they had met too late. She understood his grand ambitions, his ideals, and his heart. And I lay beside him, yet felt as though we were worlds apart. These were the very words he had once said to me. I bit my lip, feeling my eyes grow increasingly teary. He looked at me, his expression suddenly confused. Ellie, why have you become so harsh? Over the years, whenever you saw a woman by my side, you would go out of your way to drive them away. But Lillian is just a young girl. She's innocent and does everything properly. Why must you force her away? In any case, Lillian's matter has nothing to do with you. Just focus on recovering. Victor turned and left decisively. It seemed like every extra second was a waste. I lay on the hospital bed, my mind wandering. The engagement ring on my finger had left a mark. But I couldn't remember anymore. What had our love been like? Slowly, I began to think. When had he taken off that ring? And when had it become Lillian's necklace? She flaunted it openly on social media, the only red rose in his heart. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Everything about Lillian made me uneasy. Victor had come this far in life, he wasn't without women. Because of me, he had cut ties with those who needed to be cut and replaced those who needed to be replaced. He would never have kept a girl who was so careless at work around him for so long. He deliberately hid everything about Lillian. He hid it very carefully. I couldn't find any concrete evidence of his infidelity. Yet I was constantly filled with anxiety and uncertainty. Until the day my injuries fully healed. One by one, unfamiliar text messages started appearing on my phone. He said you're so dirty. Every time he touches you, he feels sick. But I'm different. I'll only ever sleep with him. Actually, he's already tired of you. He called you a bus stop, anyone can get on. Yet you still cling to him, refusing to let go, even wanting him to marry you as his wife. Sister, you know everything. Why won't you leave? The sender of the messages was obvious. These words were too disgusting and painful to bear. The moment I finished reading, I dropped my phone to the ground. I stood there, my shoulders shaking uncontrollably. I stumbled over to pick up my phone, my body aching from the fall, tears streaming down my face. The memories I had tried to bury that night resurfaced, once again disrupting my thoughts. It was cruel and unbearable. I dialed Victor's number frantically. When I couldn't reach him, I went to his company. When I couldn't find him there, I went to the private club he frequently visited. I caused such a commotion that his secretary was at a loss. Eventually, she revealed Victor's whereabouts to me. It was just as he was about to finalize a business deal. I interrupted everything. That was the first time I officially met Lillian. She was young, beautiful, and innocent. The first time she saw me, the corners of her mouth curled up in a provocative smile. She had succeeded. My irrational behavior was magnified, and Victor was furious. Nora, you can't act like this. Is this the place you should be? Is there something you're hiding from me? I stared intently at Lillian behind him. My eyes were already red. I brought Lillian here to discuss the collaboration. What are you doing? Unfortunately, my phone was broken and wouldn't turn on. The only evidence was gone. I could only confront him word for word. Why? Why did you betray our relationship? Is it because of this Lillian? Is it because she's been with you day and night, and you've fallen for her? Victor coldly replied, enough. How long are you going to keep targeting Lillian? I smiled, targeting? Do you think you've hidden it well? The records of your hotel stays, the purchases of condoms, the gifts you sent her, do you think I don't know about any of that? I completely lost it. Victor froze for a moment, his face turning ashen. You actually checked on me? Perhaps it was because I had trusted him too much over the years. I never thought I would go this far. The truth was too ugly to bear. Victor's expression was tense, his helplessness exposed after being exposed. I just got a little too close to Lillian. So what? Even if I slept with her, so what? Victor said coldly, did I ever look down on you when you slept with so many men? Those words exploded in my mind. They kept growing louder and louder. It felt like they were trying to awaken all the memories of that night. He personally took me to those men's rooms and closed the door himself. He ignored my cries and pleas for help. Yet now it had become a part of his disgust. My expression was heartbreaking, and I nearly collapsed from the shock. Victor caught me, his face suddenly filled with guilt. I'm sorry, Ellie. I didn't mean it. I said the wrong thing just now. Ellie, don't be angry. I pushed him away, tears streaming down my face. He reached out to catch me, but his hands fell empty. I stumbled forward, turned around, and took one step after another, feeling as though my feet were weighed down with lead. My heart felt like it was being pierced by countless needles. He called my name, but I didn't turn back. All sounds seemed to freeze in the air. And my heart felt as though it were shattering into pieces. I collapsed in silence. And then, for a very long time, I didn't go home, nor did I fix my phone. The shattered screen was like a relationship that had already rotted away. Even if repaired, it could never be the same. I locked myself in a small apartment where no one could find me. The news was playing on the TV. The president of the Fu Group was searching for someone throughout the city. Victor's expression was one of unprecedented panic, and his voice trembled even as he gave the interview. My photo was everywhere. The buzz never died down. I unplugged the internet and turned off the TV. I didn't want to see anyone or the sunlight. Every time I fell asleep, memories of that night flooded back. The man tore off my clothes and tied me to the bed. Victor sure is lucky to have such a beauty like you by his side, but what good does crying do? He still sold you to us. Just serve us well tonight. What do you want him for? He said we can do whatever we want tonight. Are you done yet? It's my turn now. I struggled desperately, trying to break free from the nightmare. A figure suddenly embraced me. I cried and struggled, but he held me tightly. Ellie, I found you. I finally found you. Ellie, it's me. Don't be afraid. It's me. Victor's trembling voice echoed in my ears. He held me so tightly I could barely breathe. Ellie, during the 3 months you were missing, I didn't sleep a single night. Do you know how worried I was? That day, I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to, Ellie. Everything you did for me, I'll never forget. He choked back tears, his eyes red as he held me tightly. Lost and found, emotions ran wild. Ellie, I promise you, next month we'll get married. Will you let me give you a grand wedding? I only realize now that I can't bear the pain of losing you. Don't leave me. He pressed my head tightly against his chest. The sound of his heartbeat drowned out everything else. Ellie, I love you. Those words felt like they came from a lifetime ago. My eyes filled with confusion. Tears soaked his shirt. He lowered his head, kissing my eyes, then my nose, and finally my lips. I closed my eyes, slowly succumbing to his embrace. His heavy breathing drowned out the sound of the bed creaking. It felt like we had been transported back in time. I leaned against him and asked if he would love me forever. His affirmative answer spoke volumes. It seemed as though nothing had changed. After that night, I went home with him. I began to look forward to our wedding with all my heart. We promised each other to forget everything bad that had happened in the past. After we got married, we would look forward to the future. I would no longer pursue Lillian, and he would never mention the past again. Except for work, he was with me almost every moment of the day. He was in charge of all the wedding preparations. Just as I was immersed in happiness, Lillian jumped off a building, and it made the news. There were only 3 days left until the wedding. But Victor was nowhere to be found. I held my phone, staring at the unanswered calls. I looked at the news footage of the man's back, his face not shown. I suddenly laughed sarcastically. Who else could it be but him? I knew Victor had caused me so much pain for Lillian. This time, I was calmer than ever. After sending the message, I didn't do anything. Victor returned on the 3rd morning. He looked haggard and the first words he said to me were, "I'm sorry. I fired her earlier, but I didn't expect her to be so fragile and take such an extreme step. Ellie, I will marry you. I promise I will marry you. But she's in a bad state right now. I want to take care of her for a while. It won't be too long. Once she's better, I'll come back. Ellie, I know you're the most understanding person. You'll agree, right?" I looked at him and forced a wry smile. "When will you come back?" "In 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we'll get married, okay?" I nodded. He touched my face and smiled contentedly. I didn't dwell on Lillian's situation and continued to prepare for my wedding with all my heart. The wedding dress Victor had custom-made for me fit perfectly, and the diamond ring was incredibly luxurious. Days passed one after another. Lillian's condition gradually improved. Victor's eyes began to sparkle again. He took meticulous care of Lillian, even washing her face, brushing her teeth, and changing her clothes. I watched all this through the hospital ward window, numb. Victor noticed me. He closed the door and asked gently, "Ellie, why are you at the hospital?" I tugged at my lips. "We're getting married tomorrow. Why aren't you going home?" Victor glanced behind the door, then pulled his gaze back and spoke softly, "All right." He took my hand, but his expression was complicated. This state of affairs continued until the day of the wedding. He disappeared again. I stood there stiffly as whispers filled the air around me. A taut string snapped completely. All he left me were 2 cold messages. "She's too fragile right now to handle any stress. Ellie, let's postpone the wedding for now." Tears fell onto the screen. I cried and laughed and cried. The guests thought I had gone mad. I lowered my eyes and smashed the repaired phone into pieces. Then I calmly went to the hospital where Lillian was staying. I saw them kissing. I saw him take off her strapless dress with his own hands. In the VIP ward, no one dared to disturb them. When Victor and I made eye contact, his gaze lingered briefly, then turned from annoyance at being interrupted to helplessness. He buttoned his shirt and walked out quickly. "Ellie." I still smiled, my voice calm. "It's almost time." Let's go back and get married. He stood firmly in place, showing no intention of leaving with me. Ellie, I've told you before, let's talk about marriage later. Later? When exactly? Next month, or the month after? Ellie. He didn't want to answer that question. Don't push me. I held back my tears, but my eyes were red and swollen. You were the one who said you'd marry me. It was when you were 18, holding a newspaper ring, saying you'd marry me one day. It was that night when you held me, promising me a grand wedding. I couldn't hold back anymore, and tears streamed down my face. His expression remained unchanged, but he clenched his fists tightly. Ellie, I can't do this now. Are you going to force me to kill someone just for a wedding? A life? I laughed sarcastically. You can only save her by kissing her, right? Ellie, don't think like that. Lillian has no one to rely on, she's pitiful. I just feel sorry for her. I've been abandoned by you so many times. Am I not pitiful? My voice trembled. Victor, what if I insist on marrying you today? Victor looked at me, his expression solemn. Ellie, this is a hospital. Stop causing a scene. I'm not causing a scene. I held back my tears and looked deeply into his eyes. Do you still want to marry me? Victor remained firm. Ellie, don't force me. But I'm not forcing you. I pointed to my stomach, my voice choked with emotion. I'm already pregnant with your child. He froze for a moment, staring at me in disbelief. Lillian was calling him. I looked at him, praying he would come to me. If we get married, the child will have a home. Victor's expression grew heavy. He frowned, his voice cold and hard. You've been with so many men. How can we be sure the child is even yours? My body trembled violently, and I froze in place. It felt like I had fallen into an ice cave, and a chill suddenly swept through my heart. I stared at him in disbelief, speaking slowly and clearly. What did you say? Victor's brows furrowed, and his eyes were filled with complex emotions. The words that slipped out of his mouth were his unconscious, honest reaction. The ugly scar was torn open in that moment. I realized. Between us. What happened 5 years ago had never truly ended. It's nothing. I was just saying. He brushed off the hurtful words with a casual tone. Ellie, don't use your pregnancy to blackmail me. Lillian's health is fragile, and I need to take care of her for a while. I won't consider marriage during this time. He turned and walked into the ward, not seeing the tears falling from my eyes. Pain spread throughout my body. The bitterness in my throat surged repeatedly. I suddenly laughed sarcastically, mocking myself for being as naive as an 18-year-old. Believing Victor's words of sincerity. Sincerity changes in an instant. All that's left is a shattered mess. Perhaps the pain in my womb was too intense, even the unborn child was affected. It tormented me day and night, causing me to vomit bitter fluid and toss and turn, unable to sleep. In less than a month, I was physically and mentally exhausted, looking haggard and worn out. I didn't even have the strength to lift my eyes to look at anyone. I didn't even notice that Victor had come at that moment. He brought a family doctor to examine me. He fed me medicine, changed my clothes, and gently wiped my face. I was barely conscious. It felt like I had traveled back 10 years. 18-year-old Victor would take care of me when I was sick. He would attend to every detail, showing me concern. I clung to the hem of his shirt, my voice weak. Vic, you're finally back. It had been a long time since I had called him so intimately. Victor paused, then nodded. I've always been here. He gently wiped away my tears. Ellie, your health is important. Let me know if you feel unwell at any time. The pent-up sorrow in my heart suddenly dissipated. I threw myself into his arms, letting out a soft sob. Perhaps because I was so sensitive during pregnancy, even the smallest act of kindness could move me deeply. I feared that the Victor before me was just a dream. I was afraid that when the dream ended, his eyes would once again be filled with coldness. So I held him tightly, refusing to let go. Ellie, you still love me, don't you? I didn't speak, the embrace was my answer. He stroked my cheek with his hand, speaking earnestly. Ellie, it hasn't been easy for me to get to where I am today. You know that, don't you? I leaned against his chest, understanding everything he said. We hadn't had such a heart-to-heart conversation in a long time. These days, he's been by my side almost constantly. He talked about the hardships he's faced, his guilt and concern for me. He talked about his ideals and ambitions. It felt like we were back to those early days when we were starting our business. Peaceful and pure. So, Ellie, no matter what difficulties I face, you'll help me, right? My expression froze for a moment. A wave of unease flashed through my mind. But he didn't say anything else. When my body slowly recovered, he took me out to pick out some clothes and jewelry. My abdomen was starting to show, but my body hadn't gained much weight. My face looked just like it did before. Victor seemed very happy when he saw me dressed like this. Ellie, you're so beautiful. The backless dress made me feel a bit uncomfortable. But Victor wouldn't let me change. He picked me up and put me in the car, saying he wanted to take me somewhere. The direction the car was heading felt unfamiliar. I finally couldn't help but ask him, Vic, where are we going? To Mr. Wang's place. My face froze, and I refused. I don't want to go. Ellie, be a good girl. There won't be many people tonight. We're just going to discuss business with Mr. Wang and apologize for last time. He's already agreed to let it go. I'm pregnant. It's not convenient for me to drink. I won't make you drink. Don't worry. At the end of the road, it was pitch black. I suddenly felt an icy chill run through my limbs. Victor, let me out of the car. My voice was cold and firm. I'm not going. Victor pretended not to hear me. He showed no intention of stopping. If you don't stop the car, I'll jump out. The car window was opened, and the wind blew strongly. Victor saw the determination in my eyes and had no choice but to pull over to the side of the road. Ellie, what are you doing? Why did you bring me to meet Mr. Wang? Why did you make me wear this? You've never brought me to business meetings before. Where's your secretary, Lillian? Why me? He had never taken me to formal events. Except for some shady, dirty ones. I caught a glimpse of something on his face that made me feel uneasy. Ellie, you said you'd help me. This collaboration with Mr. Wang is very important. I really don't want to lose it. But I'm just a pregnant woman. Ellie, it's okay. He said it very seriously. Mr. Wang just wants to try the taste of a pregnant woman. He said it's just once, just once. Ellie, this is really the last time. I can't lose such a good opportunity. I stared at him in shock. My face was pale, and I couldn't utter a single word. I felt absurdly ironic, so sick I wanted to vomit. Ellie, you'll help me, right? As he waited for my response, I slapped him hard across the face. Anger, pain, sadness. Complex emotions intertwined within me. In that instant, they all turned into clear red marks on his face. Victor's entire posture froze. A fleeting look of surprise flashed in his eyes before slowly fading into calmness. He didn't get angry. Instead, he spoke, Ellie, are you hating me? But you know how difficult this journey has been for me. How much I've sacrificed to reach this position, and how much you've sacrificed too. Are you really willing to give up everything just like this? I stared coldly at him, at the man I had loved for 10 years. Time and again, he betrayed me, used me. He treated me like a gift to be handed over to others. I don't hate him. I've never hated him. I understand his helplessness, his circumstances. I could endure everything, no matter how painful. But now, it feels like a ridiculous joke. My one-sided devotion has only brought him more cruelty. In the silent 3 minutes, I stared into his pitch-black eyes, trying to find a trace of myself there. But there was nothing. In the end, I could only ask him with reddened eyes, Victor, do you love me? His instinctive reaction couldn't deceive anyone. He froze for a moment, not expecting me to ask that. He who was accustomed to putting on a show of deep affection in front of me was caught off guard. I saw it all. The answer was clear. He wasn't in the right state of mind to act. Ellie, let's not discuss this tonight, okay? I smiled bitterly, okay. Then let me ask you another question. Do you love Lillian? Victor's voice was low. Ellie, it's different. Lillian is different from you. So you love her, right? He remained silent. What if it were her today? What if she were given to Mr. Wang to pave the way for you? His eyes suddenly turned sharp. No. Lillian is so pure, don't drag her into this. So this was the love that came from his subconscious. This was what I wanted. My heart ached so much it felt like it was being torn apart, and tears rolled down my cheeks. When I got out of the car, Victor ran after me. Lynn, Nora. Are you really this heartless? I didn't respond or turn back. People were coming and going, and cars were honking. I was just me now, not a gift to be manipulated by others. Victor didn't chase after me. We parted ways. The rain came suddenly, perhaps a sign that autumn was approaching. I tried to find shelter from the rain but slipped and fell down the stairs. The rain pelted my face, intensifying every sensation. I realized something was slipping away. A child, a pool of blood. Later, I closed my eyes and fell into a long darkness. I dreamed of that child. It cried pitifully, saying it wanted to be my child again in the next life. The smell of hospital disinfectant brought me back to consciousness. I felt all my strength drained from me. The pain had become numb. The doctor asked me, "Where are your family members?" "I have no family." The doctor looked at me, his expression suddenly filled with sympathy. It was just a miscarriage. I didn't feel sorry for myself. But the next moment, when the doctor diagnosed me with cancer, I trembled as I took the report, my face pale with shock. Victor came to see me. He handed me a check for $2 million. I didn't take it, just looked at him. Compensation? Breakup money. You've been with me for so many years, I can't let you suffer. So 10 years of my youth is worth this price? I forced a stiff smile, unmoved. Since the child is gone, let's just part ways. Victor handed me the check. Find a better man to marry and don't let yourself be mistreated in the future. I lowered my head, hiding the sorrow in my eyes. You want me to marry someone else? I suddenly smiled. So you never considered marrying me? Victor's expression remained cold, but there was no malice in his eyes. You're right. Since I don't love you, I shouldn't keep you by my side. We should both let go and stop tormenting each other. What if I don't want to? Victor's voice remained icy. Ellie, I've wronged you over the years. I'm compensating you and setting you free. You can find your own love. A hint of a smile flashed across his eyes. Lillian is the woman I truly love. She's carrying my child, and I need to give her a proper place in my life. I smiled bitterly and tore the check he handed me into 2 pieces. He watched my actions, puzzled. What are you doing? I don't need compensation, I said quietly, staring at him. I want the promise you made when you were 18. I can't marry you. He spoke bluntly. I've worked hard to get where I am now. I have my pride. I can't marry a woman with a stain on her reputation. Besides, Lillian is carrying my child. The child needs a father. I slowly raised my eyes and forced a bitter smile at him. What about our child? Victor didn't respond, only said, Ellie, let the past stay in the past. We both need to move forward. If you think this money isn't enough, you can make demands, and I'll agree to anything. Don't bring up those meaningless things again. My eyes were empty, numb and calm. If her child is gone, would you still marry her? Victor's expression suddenly hardened. Don't you dare do anything to her. I've told you, Lillian is the woman I love more than anything in this world. I've said all I need to say. If you need money, contact my secretary. After all, we've been through so much together. Let's part ways amicably. As he was about to leave, he happened to bump into the doctor. Are you a relative of this patient? Victor glanced at me and replied indifferently, just a friend. Then please persuade her. She refuses treatment and insists on being discharged. If this continues. Victor frowned, his expression complicated. What illness does she have? I interrupted promptly, it's nothing. It doesn't concern you. Victor didn't press further and left immediately. I crumpled the terminal illness notice in my hand. I tried to suppress the overwhelming emotions, but tears still welled up in my eyes. Victor was right. He doesn't love me anymore, so why should I cling to him? All the foolish things we've done over the years have already sealed our fate. He told me to look forward. But I'm the only one still stuck in the past. It's utterly absurd. In the end, I refused to accept any compensation from Victor. His secretary came to see me a few times. My condition grew worse each time. Perhaps he had noticed something, and cautiously asked, Miss Lynn, are you ill? I didn't answer his question, hiding my haggard expression, and asked him instead, is he getting married in 3 days? Yes, Mr. Fitzgerald said that once you take the money, you should forget about the past. I lowered my head so low that I could barely speak. All right. Then tell him I don't have much time left. Let him come see me one last time. The secretary froze, his expression slightly shocked. He agreed to my request. He relayed my exact words to Victor. At that moment, Victor was completely focused on the wedding. Upon hearing the news, his expression remained calm and unruffled. She wants me to see her before the wedding and cause a scene. Her tactics are a bit too underhanded. Victor scoffed. We'll talk about it after the wedding. Tell her this for me, next time she wants to see me, she should come up with a better excuse. After all, I'm dying is a one-time use excuse. The secretary paused, wanting to explain but swallowed his words. Because he saw Lillian walking and wearing her wedding dress, her smile radiant. Do you like it? Victor's gaze was tender. Of course, my wife is the most beautiful bride in the world. The secretary felt there was no need to add anything, to spoil the moment for the newlyweds. He just needed to do his job. He relayed Victor's words to me exactly as they were. This way, everyone could go their separate ways. I took off the expensive diamond ring. I stared at it for a long time. It seemed to hold the legend of true love. But in the end, it was just a mirage. It had never belonged to me from the very beginning. The sky gradually brightened. Though it was early autumn, I wrapped myself tightly. Only my eyes were exposed. At Victor's wedding, no one recognized me. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the newlyweds. I watched Victor from afar. He looked at Lillian with deep affection and spoke heartfelt vows. A bitter smile curled the corners of my lips, and my eyes suddenly welled up with tears. Such a beautiful day. Why did I have to ruin it? In the dark corner, someone approached me. Miss Lin, what are you doing here? His secretary had recognized me. I handed him the ring box. Return it to its rightful owner. Give it back to him for me. All right. As I prepared to leave, I added, don't tell him I was here. The secretary didn't ask any further questions, he just nodded. As I turned to leave, I glanced up at the stage. Victor's gaze fell upon me. It was just a moment, but the darkness swallowed me once more. He tenderly kissed his bride, and the crowd below erupted in cheers. Victor's gaze swept over. He was dazed for a moment. But it was only a brief second. Those eyes were hollow and numb. They were nowhere near as beautiful as his bride's. He had just mistaken her for Lynn Nora. How absurd. Lynn Nora had lied about her impending death. She was waiting for this excuse to trick Victor into visiting her. She wouldn't come. He snapped back to reality and looked at Lillian again, his feelings surging. He seemed to see the 18-year-old Lynn Nora in her face. Pure and beautiful, just like she was back then. Later, the secretary returned the ring, but he didn't give it a second thought. Because Lillian had given birth to their child. It was the fruit of their love. He spent almost every day with the mother and child, never leaving their side. He had put everything else out of his mind. Let alone going to see Lynn Nora again. But there was no need to go. Lynn Nora had already died that autumn.